In this lesson, we'll learn how to factor out a how to factor trinomial when the leading term has a coefficient different from 1. Sometimes we get lucky and that coefficient is a common factor of the three trinomials. Like in this case, 3 is a factor of 15 and 18. So this is the easiest case because we just factor out that common factor. And in this particular case, even x is a common factor. So outside the parentheses, we'll have 3x, and inside the parentheses, we'll have a regular trinomial that we learned how to factor last lesson. Remember, we find two numbers whose product is -6 and whose sum is 5. So in this particular case, those two numbers are 1 and -5. So all we're missing is to factor the trinomial that shows up here in black. So our final answer will be 3x times x minus 1, because the two correct numbers are -1 and 6, and times x plus 6. And that is 8. So always look for this easiest case first before trying any other problems. In this case, for example, factor out 5 outside the parentheses and then factor the remaining trinomial. In this case, 6x is the common factor, so please try each one of those and compare your answers after a couple of minutes. See how you're learning. Check for understanding. All right, let's try now example 2. So first, we are going to analyze or understand factoring by grouping. Let's say that we have a trinomial in which there is a number here different from 1, and we're going to write it as a product of two binomials. And we're looking for the values of a, b, and c. And we're trying to see how those are related. So please see that the product is AC. That means the two constants. In this case, 4 and 1. When you 6 and 4. Sorry, when you multiply those two, 6 and 4, you get an answer of it's the multiplication of those coefficients 3, 2, 4, and 1. So in the end, we know, well, also does the product of all the coefficients and constants in this multiplication. So that is 6 times 4. 6 times 4 right here is the multiplication of those coefficients 3, 4, 2, and 1 right here. And the other relationship that we notice is that in the middle, the coefficients of the x terms, 3 and x, they add up to 11. So they are composed of pairs of the coefficients and constants from the original product. So 3 is 3 times 1, and 8 is 4 times 2. So that gives us an idea as to how to find those numbers when we are trying to reverse the process. Given the trinomial, find the multiplication or factorization of them. So let's see how that is applied in factoring. So in this particular case, if we want to factor, notice that 6 is not a common factor of between 6, 11, and 4, as we did in example 1. So we're looking for two numbers whose product is 6 times 4, which is 24. And when we factor, we should have a sum of 11. 11 in this case. So those two numbers are 3 and 8. So once we find those two numbers, we can write this as 3x times 2x. Notice this is the initial trinomial. So we are writing only the middle term, the one with coefficient in blue, as 3x plus 8x. And we are factoring each one of those, this binomial and that binomial. So the common factor here is 3x times 2x plus 1. So we're thinking of factoring this as one exercise. We learned how to do that uh, last lesson. And the common factor here is 4. So we get this factorization, but we do that factorization one more time. So this 2x plus 1 is now a common factor of 3x plus 4. So you can see the common factor 2x plus 1 times the two other factors added together, the ones in red. So our factorization is 3x plus 4 times 2x plus 1. So please, with that in mind, try to do these couple of exercises here. Don't forget to check your answer. Pause the video, try the second one, and we will do one more example here. So another way that we could factor the trinomial is by using substitution. So we have an idea. Consider this trinomial right here. So we have an idea of how to factor if that first term was raised to the second power, unlike it is right now, which is only the x raised to the second power. We would like to have everything multiplied by itself. So what we do is we multiply by 3, and now we get something that we would love to have. But we've got to remember that we changed it. We changed the original problem by multiplying by 3. So this one here follows the same pattern as the ones we did in lesson 7-5. So the only difference is that instead of x, we'll have 3x. So now if we think of this as p, so we got p to the second power minus 2 times p minus 24. And this, again, we know how to simplify, how to factor, as we learned in lesson 7-5. So that's p minus 6 times p plus 4. Because the two numbers that when you multiply, you get negative 24, and those two numbers added equals to negative 2. Now remember that p is actually 3x, so we now have 3x minus 6 times 3x plus 4, because we knew that that was a substitution. So now we can factor out of these 3 and 6 is a common 3 is a common factor between 3 and 6, so we can factor out that from here, and that'll be our final answer. Well, almost our final answer, we can say, is x minus 2 times 3x plus 4, because if you remember at the beginning we multiplied by 3, so now we've got to divide by 3 to get the original multiplication that we had. So now try these two problems, pause the video, and try the next one. Check for your understanding and be ready to ask questions in case you have any.